Well, hello and welcome to another iTWire video with top Australian and international executives. On my right, I have Bruce Eisdvik. He's the Managing Director of Genesys for the Asia Pacific region. And on my left, I have Gordon Clubb, the Managing Director for Australia and New Zealand. Welcome to you both to the program.
Thank you very much, Alex.
So, Bruce, I'll start with you. For those who don't know, can you please just give us the short version of what Genesys does and how it does it?
Sure. Look, Genesys has been around for about 20 years now and has been in the customer service business. Traditionally contact centers, but we've moved on to sort of more around the customer experience we deliver to customers. So it's beyond contact centers. So how do our customers deliver great service to their customers? That's, in a nutshell, what Genesys does.
And of course, having been around for 20 years, I mean, we've seen a lot of change in that time. The internet has become full circle, and you've got, technologies. I mean, what was happening 20 years ago when you first started? Can you?
Yeah, the big change, and in fact, where we got our roots from is it was a hardware business, very simple, delivering calls to phones that rang, and we actually initially were a software company, and that was one of the big modifications, and that whole industry sort of moved in the software vein. And since then, of course, we've now moved into the cloud, and a lot of these services are delivered via the cloud. It was all voice, then all these additional channels were added, and so I would say the customer service world has gotten a lot more complicated over the last 20 years, and I would say customers' needs and demands on care have increased substantially. So what customers expect from enterprises is a lot higher than it was 20 years ago.
Well, we do see
a lot tougher.
We do see a huge emphasis today on customer service and companies not wanting to have their customers annoyed and churning to other providers. I mean, what in Genesys' eyes, and probably get comment from both of you, what is customer service in 2015? And then you talk about the omni-channel customer experience. So what, you've described it a little bit, but what else does it actually mean?
So, you know, we do a lot of investment in sort of thought leadership and where's the market going and what do customers need. And the biggest change probably is that when they call a contact center, nobody really does that for fun, right? So
yeah.
We've really been behind the idea.
Yeah, let's call the customer contact center for fun. I've got about half an hour spare. I want to hear that whole music one more time, right?
Exactly, exactly. So what we thought is like what they want is a really low effort experience. Make it very simple for them, get them in and get them out. And that, of course, has got more complicated now because customers are not calling you on that. They're going to the website, then they're making a phone call, then they're going to
online chat or Facebook.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're starting to see now the customers are all about self-service.
Yeah.
I think 54% of people now go online before they call an agent. They do their own research. And the other big change is that we're starting to see this emergence from omni-channel is this multi-modality where customers are on multiple devices, multiple channels at the same time. So it could be on the phone, but at the same time they're on the web. Talking to an agent. So the dynamics are changing rapidly. And if you only go back 10 years ago, we had no social media, we had no smartphone apps. No,
interactive voice response was the big thing.
Yeah, and so what we've seen is the development of companies like Uber and Airbnb, a whole different model just in the last 10 years.
So, you've got the impacts of digital channels on the contact center. You were talking about self-help and self-service. I mean, I've been on websites where I'm going to their customer support section and it's asking me to either type in my question or a little pop-up comes up, whether I'm on the sales page or on the customer service page. One wants to know if they can help me solve my problem. The other one wants to see if they can help me buy something. And, this is obviously having a big impact, but does Genesys offer all of those particular services to your customers to do that?
Yeah, look, again, going back to the thought leadership work we do, to us it's about customer journeys. Well, and that journey could be buying a product or it could be getting a problem resolved. But we really think of that where does that customer journey start and where does it end? And it's important for us to serve them across all those channels, all those interactions, so they get sort of one seamless experience with the enterprise. So yeah, today you'll see as Gordon said, most people go online to start a problem. They try and self-help, and when they have a problem, when they can't get it resolved, then chats it, and we do that. Then we look to see, okay, a customer stalled, can we help them pop up a chat and sort of interact with them on chat? But then perhaps that chat session isn't really getting to where they need to get. So then they want to get on a phone call, and we help them translate that with memory and context and presence. So what's most frustrating for a customer is you've been on, the FAQ site, you're not getting anywhere. You try with chat, you're not getting anywhere. You call in the contact center, it's a brand new. You start at zero.
You have to explain everything again. Then you get transferred to somebody else. You explain everything again another time.
Very, very frustrating. So us, it's really about reducing that frustration level. So now what we do is we've captured all that. We send it to that, and so in fact we'll proactively escalate a chat to a call, and allow them to use their mobile application actually to offer that call to them. We know the agent skills, we know they're available, we know they can take the call right now, and then we pass all that data so that context is moved 100% over to that agent who can pick it up right from there. And then in fact, we can allow them to co-browse, so they can actually capture, like if they're trying to fill out a form online, it's not working for them, they can actually see their screen and say, oh no, look, you had to push this button, or here's a PDF, can I send this across to your mobile phone so you can take a look at that, and here's a link for you to, so making that seamless, that really reduces the effort, and it's a great experience. And that's where you might convert a problem into an opportunity to upsell.
And a customer who is raving about the great service they got because they got their problem solved quick, smart.
Yeah, right.
And quite often the whole paradigm shift has been slated back to the Y gen, but if we look at it today, and their first preference is go on the web, their second preference is social, their third is or fourth actually is voice, so it's dropping off. We're seeing the engagement now accelerating, so 35% of interactions are digital, and we're starting to see a major change, and that's starting to change the way businesses work. So it's not just the front office, the point of contact, it's how you schedule your staff, it's your back office working. So we're starting to see this change the way businesses think and work to respond to the customer.
So for those, oh sorry, go on.
Please. We had our G Summit yesterday here in Sydney, well attended. It was very interesting, and we had a presentation from Fifth Quadrant. And one thing that was really interesting to me was that we always expect the Gen Ys to be the one who are going to be the social animals, want social media, they're going to be online. But the thing that they told us was that that's changing, that it's the 45 pluses are really coming online. That's the area of fastest growth to online for customer support is 45 plus. So to say Gen Y now is almost an old thing, because it's really crossing all ages. Well, I think that's great.
The internet has percolated to all age groups. I mean, there used to be fascination at the grey surfers, the silver surfers. But now, I mean, everyone uses the internet. We've been doing it for 20 years. It's second nature to us all, and we all want to save time and not be stuck on a phone queue or waiting for a call. Now, one of the things that popped into my mind was, is anybody offering video on customers, so I can, chat, not just by chat, but actually talk to a person using WebRTC or Skype or something else?
Absolutely, we do that. In fact,
because most people aren't doing that I see yet.
Look, it's interesting because you're right about that. The technology actually has been there for a while.
Long time, yeah.
But it actually hasn't been deployed and used. I think video has taken a long time for people to get comfortable with. I actually think Skype has sort of helped that adoption.
People also worry that you can see my computer screen and you're sharing that.
Yeah, there's a little fear there. Yeah. I agree, but today though, having that face-to-face, knowing a face, and having that one-on-one correspondence, I think is really positive. So we can actually, as I was saying, that journey, we could journey that into a video conversation too. Would you like to have a video discussion with me?
Yeah. And presumably Genesys allows you to have companies make that promise where you can talk to one person and just stay talking to them and not be shunted to different people. So each time you have a customer contact, in theory, it could always be with that same John or Jane.
Sorry?
No, go ahead.
And it is a journey. I mean, there's a behavioural shift. People have to, just like SMS in the mobile phone days, it wasn't instant. It was take up over a period of time. It's the same way we interface today. We've got virtual assistants, and the avatar is somewhat remote in terms of reality, but that's fast. That's changing rapidly, and so this whole world of the virtual assistant, and that's leading you back into the video, this engagement, personal touch and feel as you're talking to somebody. So it is a rapidly changing area.
Just going back on your point, Alex, this always going back to the same agent. It's interesting because we've done studies about that. That isn't necessarily always what customers want.
No, and I mean, I only brought it up because I hear some companies are trying to push you down that path. Others are saying, look, we have the information. We can promise you we're not going to ask you again to describe everything because all the notes are there.
If you think about it yourself, sometimes you go to an agent, that agent actually isn't that helpful to you.
Yeah, sometimes that's right. Sometimes you've got to ring again to get better service.
Exactly. So you may not always want that feature. So
sure.
We can invoke that, absolutely. Would you like to, and it's easy to handle, and this is where our sort of intelligence comes into place, as we say, look, would you like to talk to the agent that helped you last time? Yes or no? Yes, I would. Okay, great. But maybe no.
Yeah, sure.
So we want to give them that flexibility. Let the customer drive how they want to interact. It's up to the customer.
And then, as Bruce said, that's all captured. That journey is being captured anyhow, so you can hand it off.
Sure.
Yeah.
And just for those who might be wondering, who maybe are not super au fait with how customer contact software works, I mean, this is software that sits, and potentially whatever hardware partnerships you have, that sits on a server that's powering that entire customer contact call center environment. And so you've had many generations of this now, and you help companies to install this and run it all smoothly. Is that accurate?
The way we feel is that our customers who are enterprises, we want to make it. We believe in what we sell, that to make it easy for them, and so we let them sort of consume Genesys software however they would like. So that may be on a premise hardware installed, it's always software on their hardware, or we might put it in the cloud, or we might put a hybrid version of that. So we try and, to us, the way our software is delivered is not important. It's the outcome that it delivers for them, and really, we think
the customer human interaction,
their consumer as our customer. So we work with our customers to really help, improve the service they deliver to their consumer.
Well, I mean, it's all part of that whole digital transformation, and I was just saying the customer human interaction going to the next level. It's not. We're not in Kansas anymore, as they would say.
I can say, and I was going to say this too. The technology has been there, but the amount of development I've seen the last 3 or 4 years is pretty
must be insane.
Incredible.
Yeah, like with everything else in the tech world.
But it's always the same thing with adoption of technology. It's actually the human aspect of the adoption that's actually the harder part. And in enterprises, one of the things we're facing is that now customer care used to be in the contact center. Today, it's all lines of business. So that actually becomes quite complicated for our customer, the enterprise. How do they organize themselves to be able to provide a seamless experience to their consumer? And today, it's a challenge because they are siloed. And the consumer shouldn't care that it's Department A, B, or C.
Yeah, they just want the service, damn it.
That's right. And so our customers are sort of challenged with looking at the way they're organized to make that a seamless experience. So that's sort of, we try and help them with consulting, and they have the best intentions.
And they are seeing it. Those companies that are investing are starting to see a return from that investment. So they're on a digital journey, they're on a transformation. As Bruce said, they're coming from a traditional silo base. The customer doesn't want to know about silos, they want to work across the business, they want their problems answered. So we are starting to see that change. And those companies that are invested on this journey, I think 58 to 59% of them are seeing increases in profit and in revenue. And they're further investing, so they are starting to see this transformation is big. The customer experience is driving the organisation's transformation. So it's really starting to happen out there.
This is a good point. One of the things that we've been able to, from all of our customer deployments, and we have a good consulting team, we've sort of been able to collect, does investing in customer service pay?
Yeah.
I mean, if you're an enterprise and it's about profits and,
well, it's about having happy customers. The happy customers are the ones who deliver your profits.
But if you're going to the CFO and saying, I have to spend $100 million,
on happy customers.
On happy customers, that's a pretty tough sell.
Yeah.
And so, but what's the facts that we're getting is if you do that, it absolutely hits your profitability, your retention, your EBITDA. So there is the concrete facts to make the CFO happy at the same time.
Yeah. So who are some of the big customers locally and internationally that you can share?
Well,
just some names.
Locally, there's Commonwealth Bank, the Australian Tax Office, Telstra. So all long-term customers as well. But the good thing is we're starting to see the growth in what we call white space, the new markets, the new industries. So we were successful in Woolworths. So some good brands, but all with customers that are engaging regularly. And this whole digital transformation, they're on the journey as well with us.
So when I'm talking to, I help a lot of people with their computer problems and phone problems, and I'm often the guy on the phone ringing Telstra.
Your customer service.
Yeah, I have to, I'm on the front line for these companies, unpaid bloody tech support. Anyway, when of recent times in the last couple of years, David Thodey has been on. He's no longer there, of course, but he was on this big customer satisfaction, customer transformation journey. So when at the end of the call it says, "Hey, can you rate this call?" Is that Genesys technology?
It's a combination, of Genesys technology and voice, because it's obviously voice.
Sure.
Imparting it through voice. So and we capture that and then feed back into the Telstra NPS score. So And that's what I think is an example. As the business is changing, the measures have to change. How you measure a customer satisfaction. It's not about how long the average call time is.
Sure.
It's about what was the experience.
I was thinking
that. What was the effort the customer had to put in to get to this? And that's why self-service is starting to emerge as a very topical subject.
The metric used to be how quickly you can get the customer off the phone, but now the metric has to be how successful were we at
and that's a transformation in the way businesses think, because finance people have got to start to let go and understand it's not about jamming the customer through and getting them out the door. It's about the experience and the effort, and then that feeds back into the NPS. I think Bain & Co did an interesting research. 80% of companies surveyed believe they offered a superior service to their customers.
And the customers...
When we interviewed the customers, and only 8% of the customers felt it was a superior service.
Yeah, incredible. It's like asking, do you think you're a good driver? Everyone says yes, and in reality. And so, Bruce, what do you think, and who are some of the customers, big names in the region we might know as well?
Yeah, sure. Just going back to Telstra for a second, I think you saw their results. Just yesterday,
off the charts,
And David Thodey was a real driver NPS, and we know iNet they've really focused on NPS, CPA, and you look at ANZ.
And NPS again stands for
Net Promoter Score.
NPS,
so, brand advocacy, and it's really encouraging to us, like our industry, to see our customers investing in happy customers and seeing that hit the bottom line. So this is part of the evidence part that I'm excited to see. And
sure.
And you look at those companies now, and if that's on the CEO's agenda, that's, you look at the reports that came out yesterday, you'll see that it remains a very important focus, for example, for Telstra. But we've got other, and this is really our credo, what we exist for. And you look at some of the customers, like Emirates Airlines, they have fantastic customer service. They're a big customer of ours. Singapore Airlines is deploying Genesys. So a lot of the, A brand airlines. But you go into e-tailers, Alibaba, JD, Qunar, we're very big in China. Most of the big SOE banks in China are our customer as well. Go into Japan, sort of the same NTT, KDDI. So some of the biggest companies, that's just in APAC. Then you go to North America, and we have some of the biggest brands. Exactly. So we're sort of proud of our achievement, and we have customers for a long time too. They stay 10 years plus, and so to us, we feel the same way. We want to retain our customers, and we think we continue to work with them. How can we continue to improve the performance? And that's why I think we're moving a little bit towards how can we help them drive revenue as well? Because ultimately, if we have happy customers, it's going to help drive revenue, and that will,
everyone's happy. Now, let's just have a look for a second. How do you think the next 12 months will evolve? And then, looking longer term into the crystal ball, how do you think the whole customer experience, service experience will evolve over the next 5 to 10 years?
Yeah, maybe I'll take it from an APAC, and then Gordon can take it from ANZ.
Sure.
We're really happy with how, as a company's been performing, and we think because the market is responding to customer service as a priority, I think we are going to go through this. Digitization isn't there, in large, and that omni-channel experience, it's rarely truly, you rarely truly see it.
It's still, people are still getting to that stage.
So that's what I feel over the next 12 months, we're going to start to see some of these customers coming live with a true omni-channel experience. And I see, if I look out a little bit further, it is going to be more about self-service. And the way I see it is, customers will be on a self-service journey. The contact center, we found 50% of people, when they have a real issue, they still want to make a phone call. And that's why I think video also plays a role. They might want to have a real live interchange with video to video, or in the ultimate face to face. Face to face. But so the thing is, you keep that person on the self-service journey online, and then you're aware of their journey, and you help them with live service when it's required to put them back on that self-service. Because I think of myself, and I don't know how you feel, Alex, but I'd rather do it myself.
Yeah, I often try and solve it to stop wasting someone else's time and get my problem solved quickly. But sometimes you need help.
Yeah, so if you think about it, if we're smart about it, we get in there and help when you need help.
Yeah. Well, I have noticed sometimes I'm there looking at something, as I said before, something pops up. It's like, yeah, okay, I'll talk to you, because you've come to me at the point where I think maybe you can be helpful.
And then at the same time, we say, like, if you don't want help, close the box. And
that's it. That's it.
and I think that just the customers is going through change. I mean, as Bruce said, it's no longer the YGen. It's everybody. You sit on a bus or a car and a train, and you just look at people are engaging all the time. People want it's a fast service. They want a self-service. They like to feel like they're cared for from the other side, from the business side. The business has then got to look at how it engages. So it's starting to change and transform. It looks at its skills, so you direct the person to the right skills. So as I said, it's not just the front office or the point of contact. It's behind the organisation, how it starts to respond as well to support that. So I think we're on like CRM has been through, I guess, a journey as a world. It's been business, operational CRM, analytical CRM, but we're now into the more exciting part of it. People that thought the contact centre was dying is just transforming. It's just going through a different way. As Bruce said, you can come in on any device and engage, but at the right points you can hop out of that journey and then join back in, and it's all captured and stored and it's researched, and again it comes back to this whole net promoter score. How can we better serve this customer? That brings in revenue, it brings in stability to the customer base, and it brings in extra revenue as you sell more.
Sure. Now, just to change gears a little bit, last couple of questions. I always like to ask the people I'm interviewing, what's the best piece of advice that you've ever received to help you get you where you are today? Obviously, you guys are successful, and hopefully there has been someone in your lives who's given you some useful advice, and I always like to ask it. So let's start with you, Bruce.
Yeah, sure. It's the best piece of advice. I could learn a lot more to keep is to listen. I every day I sort of test myself, almost pinch myself to say listen, because even yesterday when we were at G Summit, the things you learn from having interactions with people, if you can just sit and listen and ask good questions and really engage, I think that was a really good piece of advice. The other thing that I feel is really important is be yourself, have confidence in yourself. Unfortunately, you are yourself, whether you like it or not, and just be happy with where you are and actually take advantage of that. Your strengths and understand your weaknesses. I think those two things, the first about listening, I'll never get it right, but I always remember that point.
They always say two ears and one mouth.
and Gordon? Not very dissimilar for myself. I had a CEO that the quality, the change of organisations, they go through a journey, and he was constantly talking about the fact is you got to listen to the customers. It's not about management. It's not about the organisation. It's about your customers. So listen to your customers. Listen to the guys that interface with those customers, your employees, and they're the ones that know. And then if you listen to that, and it's a shared consulting base, then you'll come up with the right decisions. But top-down management, it's not all about management dictating. It's about listening and engaging and enacting.
This reminds me of the concept of management by walking around. You've also got the CEOs who walk through their stores, undercover to really get a feel, because they can see it. You can't see that stuck in the CEO's office.
Some of the CEO changes recently in Australia, and some of those are advocates of this walking around and just meeting the people and engaging with them. And I know we use Telstra, and I know Telstra was an example of that.
Yeah. So I know you have a webinar on the 19th on. Which I'll have some links to in the article that will accompany this message, and I'm sure you have many more of these webinars and other information on a regular basis for current and potential customers. But I always like to finish off with: do you have any final messages for iTWire readers and viewers, and for your current and potential customers?
Yeah, I think it is to believe in the customer experience, to think of the consumer, just like we were talking about our advice, and to really bring that up to the biggest thing we find is bring that up to the CEO and really start to engage that internal transformation, because I think the biggest thing that is holding back this digital transformation is the consumer wants it, they need it. And it's really the technology is ready. It's really about the organization embracing it across the silos, and to break down those silos, I think is the biggest piece of advice I would recommend.
Sure.
And I'm a little bit on the same plane as Bruce. So we've got the customer wave coming along. So technology, behaviours, and personal likes and dislikes is driving it from the consumer end. But at the other side of it, you've got organisations that have been typically traditionally structured. They've now got to change, and you saw, I think, one of the presentations yesterday about 75% of CEOs thought that they led the customer experience initiative when they went to their colleagues. only 27% believe that. So they've got this big void at the moment. And it's the way the businesses now respond. So it's not just about the customer, it's about the business, and that's getting that dual front. So it's all about more robust decision making. It's about how do you fund these. It's about accountability and ownership. They've all got to change. So we're in a really big period of change, and it's all driven by customer experience.
There was one interesting thing. We did some live polling of our audience yesterday, and one of the questions we asked them is, what's impeding you, from the digital transformation? And the biggest issue was budget. They don't have the funding, and I thought that's actually wrong, to be honest, because we put the CEO as well as it impeding it. I think the budget is there because the business case is there. It's really getting the CEO engaged and driving the agenda. That's probably the most important thing.
And everyone always wants to say, oh no, we haven't got money to do it now, but as you said, it's there. They're already providing customer service. They just need to be doing it more efficiently. And
on that point, which is interesting, is if you believe in this idea that make it simple, make it fast, right? Low customer effort, that actually results in lower costs to serve. So you can free up. The better the service, the more seamless and efficient it is, the less expensive it is. And
it's coming through. Companies that are investing in this area and going through this transformation are seeing increase in revenue and profit. So it's not about you spend money to make money at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And I did want to mention one thing on that front too. Genesys has traditionally been very good at large enterprise. That's our sweet spot. But yesterday we made that big announcement. What we want to do is move that down to the mid-market. And so we announced yesterday with Telstra, we're going to market with a cloud offer to go and help those mid-tier customers to sort of get some of the Genesys technology, allow this sort of a multi-channel experience. So that's pretty exciting. That'll allow us to really enter that big market.
It's not just the enterprise, but almost any business can take advantage of this now.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly. So with Telstra, I think that's an
exciting couple of years ahead of us. Yeah.
Sure. Well, Bruce Eisdvik, Gordon Clubb, thank you very much and best of luck.
Thanks, Alex.
Thanks so much, Alex.
Thank you.